We're going to solve trigonometric equations. The first equation is the sine of x is equal to 0.5. Now, to illustrate how this equation behaves, first we are going to draw graphs. How do you draw the graphs? We're going to break this equation into two parts. The f of x is equal to the sine of x, and the g of x is equal to 0.5. Then we sketch the graph of f. Here's the graph of f. Between the interval minus 360 degrees and 360 degrees, which is given. And then we sketch the graph of the g of x, which is equal to 0.5. Here's the graph of g. The graph of g is parallel to the x-axis, and it cuts the y-axis at 0.5. Now, the solution to the equation, the sine of x is equal to 0.5, is going to be at the points where the graph of f intersects the graph of g. Let's look at the point of intersection. Here's a point of intersection. There's another point of intersection. And there's another point of intersection. And there's another fourth point of intersection. Between the interval, again, negative 360 and 360 degrees. Now, if you note, the sine of x is positive. Now, it means if the sine of x is positive, our solution is going to be in the first. Let's look at the graph. In the first quad, yes, the point of intersection is between 0 degrees and 90 degrees, which is the first quad. And in the second quad, which is 90 degrees and 180 degrees. Now, the point of intersection are consistent with what you know about the sine of x equal to 0.5 being positive. Let's go ahead and solve the equation. The sine of x is equal to 0.5. We look for the inverse of the sine. It's going to give us x is equal to 30 degrees. Now note, this is our first solution. Now we're going to use the first solution to get the second solution. Now the second solution, we said it is in the second quad. The second quad is 180 degrees minus x. Therefore, it's going to be 180 degrees minus 30 degrees, which is equal to 150 degrees. What you noted was, we used the solution in the first quad, our first solution, to get our second solution. Let me correct this. We used our first solution because the first solution, is not necessarily in the first quad. We used our first solution to get our second solution. Now, remember our interval is between negative 360 degrees and 360 degrees. It means we also have negative solutions. To get our negative solutions, use what we call coterminal angles. Now, how do we get the coterminal angles? Our positive angles are going to be rotated at 30 degrees, which is the anti-clockwise direction. And remember, anti-clockwise means positive angles. Since we want negative angles, we're going to rotate at an anti-clockwise direction. Now, the 30 degrees and the other angle, they will meet at this arm. Now, if you note 30 degrees, you remove the negative, 30 degrees and 330 degrees, that's going to be 360 degrees. Therefore, to get the other angle, we're going to say 30 degrees subtract 360 degrees, which is x minus 360 degrees. We use the 30 degrees. We get this solution. We go again, 150 degrees. We're going to say 150 degrees subtract 360 degrees. It means getting your negative angles, you say x minus 360 degrees. You get your solution, minus 330 degrees and minus 210 degrees. Let me summarize what happened. We got our first solution. Using our first solution, we got our second solution. Using the two solutions, we got our negative solutions. Now, lastly, we look at the general solutions. Now, how do we find the general solutions? Remember, you managed to get your first solution. Using your first solution, you got your two solutions, which are your positive angles. Now, These positive angles are the angles that you're going to use to get your general solution. Therefore, general solution is going to be 30 degrees plus n times 360 degrees. Why 360 degrees? Because the period of the sine graph, the sine function is 360 degrees, and also it's going to be 150 degrees plus n times 360 degrees. Remember, you need to define your n. Therefore, where your n is an element of integers, or you say your n, these are the values that you can substitute: 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. Let's confirm. When n is equal to 0, you get 30 degrees here. You get 150 degrees there. When n is equal to 1, 290 degrees, which falls out of our interval, 260 degrees. This also falls out of our intervals. Let's go to the negative. When n is equal to -1, what are you going to get? You're going to get 30 minus 260 degrees, which is our negative angle. You also get 150 degrees minus 260 degrees. Thank you.